This is the DR Field and Brush Mower, and this is probably the most brutal, violent piece of equipment I have ever owned. But it is also the piece of equipment that makes a big difference around here in keeping the scrub oak under control. This has a 34-inch width of cut and a 20 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine in them. And no, I'm not sponsored by DR. I bought this thing several years ago, full price, before I was even doing this YouTube channel. But like I say, it's one of the most useful things we have, even though it is a vicious piece of machinery. My introduction to one of these things is when a neighbor, probably the guy that has the least amount of lawn in the area, bought one of these thinking he was going to go into business or something, or just thought it was cool. It's hard to say. And he talked me into borrowing it from him. Now personally, I thought this thing was going to be a joke. It said it would do something like 60-inch tall brush. And I was thinking, yeah, maybe if it's a grassy brush it might do that, or something really wimpy. But the scrub oak we have around here is really tough. It eats chainsaw chains alive, and brush trimmers with a circular saw type head on them last for about one tank of gas, and then you got to stop and sharpen them. Really an inefficient system, and I got tired of using those. But I thought I'd give it a go, and boy was I impressed. If you can run this thing up on it and bend it over, it'll cut it. That means I can cut brush that's 1.5 inches, 2 inches in diameter, depending on how tough it is. The oak brush smaller, small pine trees and things like that bigger. Although mostly we leave the pine trees and just cut the oak brush, because the oak is really one of our biggest fire dangers around here. It is real resinous and really burns hot and spreads a fire badly. So if we keep it under control, our fire danger goes way down. And one of the things that really makes this thing so brutal is that it's power driven, and each wheel is controlled a little bit separately. You can use the brakes on one wheel to stall that and make it spin with the other wheel, and that kind of gives it a power steering or skid steering kind of an effect. But it also means that if you hit a stump or get a wheel down into a little hole somewhere and the other wheel's still driving, it's going to want to spin whether you were ready for it or not, and it could really throw you, so you got to be super careful with it. Has 3 forward speeds. Why you need 3, I don't know. I never cut brush around here in anything but the absolute slowest speed. Maybe if I'm going from point A to point B and not cutting, I'll put it in 2nd gear. But 3rd gear, you darn near have to run behind the thing, and I don't know why anybody would ever mow in 3rd gear. I think that's just for taking it from point A to point B on really smooth, flat, level ground. So after borrowing the neighbor's machine a few times and realizing that sooner or later I was going to be financing repairs on it and beating up his machine that he wasn't even using, so I was the only one getting any real use out of it. I think I may have offered to buy it from him, but he didn't want to sell because he still thought it was too cool to part with. I went ahead and ordered my own. That was 3 or 4 years ago. The thing has worked fantastic since then. I've replaced the blade, changed the oil, that kind of stuff. But other than that, it's been a pretty good machine. And as long as the ground isn't too steep or too rocky, it has done everything I needed to do. But on the relatively flat ground, and even hills about like this, it does a fantastic job. It's not a clean cutting mower. You wouldn't want to mow your golf course or your football field with this, but for cutting this brush, I've been really glad to have it. If you have trouble keeping up with a machine, or you got hip problems, knee problems, and getting jerked around a little bit might hurt you, I would probably avoid one of these, because this thing could really hurt you. So you've got to be super careful when you're running one, really pay attention. It even has a reverse gear, and if you start reversing and you're paying attention to where you're trying to get re-aimed at and reposition, you can back yourself into a tree or into a hole or something like that. So again, super careful, really pay attention to what's going on. But it gets the job done, and we'll keep it around. And if for some reason this should break this afternoon while I'm out cutting with it, I would make sure to order a new one so I had it here and ready to go by next spring. Well, look what came in today's mail. It's the DR catalog, and they want to sell me some more stuff. Sadly, this is about the only thing they've got that I'm seriously interested in. But nevertheless, if you'd like to pause the video, you can take a look at the pages where they actually talk about this mower. Looks like the current price for this model is right about $4,000. And my memory says that's about what I paid for it 3 or 4 years ago. So thanks to DR for making such a nice piece of power equipment. And like I said, not sponsored by them. They have no idea I'm even making a video about it. For everybody else, thanks for watching. We'll see you for the next video.